All right, let's talk about something that makes pretty much every algebra student groan: fractions. You know that feeling when you see an equation loaded with them and your brain just shuts down? Well, you are in the perfect place, because today we're going to learn the ultimate cheat code to make those fractions just disappear. Let's kick things off with a problem that probably looks all too familiar.
Okay, take a look at this. Yeah, if your first instinct is to just let out a big sigh and think about all that painful common denominator work, trust me, you are not alone. This thing looks messy, it looks complicated, and it just looks like a ton of work.
And honestly, who has time for that? Juggling all those different denominators, step after step, it's slow and it's so easy to make a tiny mistake. But what if I told you there was a way to make all of those fractions just, poof, vanish in a single move?
Yep, you heard that right. See, because we're working with an equation, something with an equal sign, we have a kind of superpower. The source material actually calls it the nuclear option, which I love. It's one big move that just wipes every single fraction off the board. Think of it like this. You're making a trade. You do one big multiplication step at the very beginning, and in exchange, you get to skip all those annoying little fraction calculations later. You just end up working with clean, simple whole numbers.
So, what is this magic trick? It all comes down to something called the LCD strategy. The whole key is finding the least common denominator, or LCD. Now, that's just the smallest number that all of your denominators can divide into perfectly. Once you find that magic number, you can use it to literally cancel out every single denominator in the equation.
And just look at this transformation. It's incredible. On the left, you've got your typical equation with fractions, but look what happens after we multiply everything by the LCD, which in this case is 12. It becomes 4x plus 3 equals 24. A simple, beautiful integer equation. That is the power of this technique. No more fractions, just straightforward algebra.
Okay, so you've seen the magic. Now it's time to learn how to do the trick ourselves. We're going to walk through 3 examples, starting with the basics and working our way up, so you can totally master this move.
So, let's start with a really straightforward one. Here, we've only got one denominator to even worry about, which makes it the absolute perfect place to begin.
All right, so step 1, find the LCD. That's easy, it's 5. Now here's the crucial part. Step 2, we multiply times every single term by that 5. The 5 cancels out the denominator in that first term, leaving us with just x. But, and this is key, we also have to multiply the whole numbers. The minus 3 becomes minus 15, and the 1 on the other side becomes 5. From there, it's just a simple 2-step equation, and boom, x equals 20. See? Easy.
Okay, time to level up a little bit. Remember that messy-looking problem from the very beginning? Let's take it down right now, using our cheat code.
First things first, we need the LCD for 3, 4, and 6. The smallest number they all divide into is 12. Okay, now we unleash the superpower. We multiply every single term by 12, and just watch this happen. 12 times 2x over 3 simplifies to 8x. Then 12 times 1/4 gives us 3. And on the other side, 12 times 5/6 is 10. And just like that, our intimidating equation turns into a super clean 8x plus 3 equals 10. A little bit of simple algebra later, we find out x equals 7/8. All right, you ready? Let's tackle the advanced level. So what happens when you have a binomial in the numerator? You know, an expression with 2 parts, like x minus 2. Well, the rules are exactly the same. We just have to be a little extra careful when we multiply. So for this one, the LCD of 3 and 2 is, you guessed it, 6. Now really pay close attention to what happens in step 3. When we multiply that first term by 6, it simplifies down to 2 times the entire group x minus 2. The second term becomes 3 times the group x plus 1, and of course, we can't forget the 4 on the other side. That becomes 24. Now we just use the distributive property, combine our like terms, and solve it out to get our final answer, x equals 5. Now this technique is incredibly powerful. But you know what they say, with great power comes great responsibility. There are a couple of really common traps that students fall into, so let's make sure you know how to see them coming and sidestep them completely. The number one mistake, and I mean by a mile, is forgetting to multiply the whole numbers. It's so easy to get focused on clearing out those fractions that you just completely forget the other terms have to get multiplied too. The second big pitfall is that bad distribution we talked about in the last example. You gotta remember, you're multiplying the number by the entire numerator group, not just the first piece of it.
So if you only remember one thing from this whole explainer, let it be this golden rule, a direct quote from our source. You must multiply everything, every single term, on both sides of that equal sign. No exceptions. Got it?
So yeah, this is an awesome trick to have for your algebra homework, but why does it really matter in the big picture? Well, it turns out this skill pops up all over the place, from a carpenter's workshop all the way to advanced mathematics.
For real. Think about a carpenter trying to add fractions of an inch on the job. They're using this exact same concept to work faster and with way more accuracy. And for your schoolwork, this is the foundational skill, the cheat code, for solving way more complex equations you're going to see later on. Seriously, mastering this now is just setting yourself up for a ton of success down the road.
So there you have it, the power to wipe fractions out of any equation you see. By turning a really complex-looking problem into a simple one, you're not just getting an answer, you're building confidence. So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. Now that you've got this cheat code in your back pocket, what other math problems seem just a little bit less scary?